I just helped my aunt with her taxes! You know how pumped that can make a guy. You don't even speak the same language and you're sitting here filling out taxes. Is there a better way to spend a Friday afternoon? You know, it's wild. We always knew this day would come. Let me just... Pumped is not the right word to use. There's nothing about my aunt that pumped me.
We don't do that shit over there in Africa.
You know, it's wild. We always knew this day would come, but not like this. Not here. Not now. But my friends, it's happened. We have finally seen an Aeon in-game thanks to the Herta.
Indeed, this is only a minor ripple that no one will ever notice. So, you must also understand, for a genius, the importance of asking questions outweighs the importance of the answers themselves. So-called magic has its own set of principles. There are no mysteries in this universe that cannot be solved. So, all-seeing presence, I ask you this. What is divinity?
But what exactly is going on here? Why are the puppets deactivating? And why has Herta at long last revealed her true form and posed this question to Nous? What is divinity? I found the perfect place to bring it back. The answer could very well tie into our next destination, Amphoreus. What do I mean? Prior to this cutscene, Herta was name-dropped several times throughout the quest as she was tasked by Himiko to gather information on the hidden world of Amphoreus. Now, the reason she asked Herta specifically, there's actually a reason, and it's because of the erudition. You see, from what little we know of Amphoreus, it's a world being influenced by 3 different paths. One such path is the erudition, and what's more, normal pathstriders cannot leave traces in the mirror of the Garden of Recollection, meaning the fact that Amphoreus has left these traces indicates it's dealing with either emanators or eons.
Logic. The average pathstrider wouldn't leave any trace behind in the Garden of Recollection's mirror.
Okay, so I mean, Himiko isn't voiced, so I gotta, raise the old octaves a bit for this. Or lower the octaves? No, nigga, I'm not Mozart. You're right! So this has to be related to the emanators, or perhaps even the eons. That's why I wanted to know if the geniuses had any clue about it. So you see, this is why Himiko consulted Herta, not only for this unusual circumstance the planet is facing, but because one of the paths is in fact the erudition, of which Herta is an emanator of. And who made her the emanator of the erudition? The only one who can. Nous. The conversation between Himiko and Skrulon then continues with Himiko mentioning Herta had never heard of Amphoreus before, but the intrigue surrounding the lost planets did tickle her fancy, so she decided to look into it, with Himiko personally speculating part of the reason why Herta agreed is due to the Garden of Recollection being involved and Herta being interested in their technology. The next time Herta is brought up is right at the end of the quest, with Himiko telling the crew Herta ain't uncover shit about Amphoreus. However, before we set off for Amphoreus, Himiko had tried contacting Herta several times with no response. This confuses Welts, and Himiko assures us this must be Herta's doing, as surely nothing could have happened on the space station, and in the end, she reasons Herta is on the move again. It's then we get the cutscene. An announcement from someone says everyone must leave the space station. Can't tell whose voice it is, half the fucking quest is mute. There's a gathering of Hertas in the room, and Pimp Herta walks among them and says, this is a minor ripple no one will notice. She states asking questions is more important than the answers, and that magic has its own set of rules. All the while, mirrors that seem similar to, ones you'd find in the Garden of Recollection circle around her. We get B-roll footage showing we're still on the space station, and all the puppets deactivates. And then Herta pops the question to Nous. What is Divinity. Nous, by the way, this one big ass nigga. I didn't think he was that big. You telling me Xander, one dude, but all this? Fucking Edison kicking himself. That nigga was born in the wrong timeline. It's still from. Herta's ominous statement about this being a ripple no one will notice doesn't really give us much to work with, given the phrasing makes it sound as if whatever she's referring to could have already happened or will happen, but I'm not gonna lie. Me personally, it feels like the ripple she's referring to is her directly asking a question to an Aeon. It would explain why right after talking about the ripple, she states as a genius, regardless of the answer, the act of asking the question is more important. The biggest reason she probably holds this point of view is because she knows she won't get an answer from Nous, because despite being a god who wants to uncover all in the universe, Nous doesn't answer any questions. Wisdom Walker tells us, quote, I myself have had the honor to witness the divine corpus of Nous, and thus may be able to add a few more comments here. Contrary to standard thinking, Nous is not a god that provides solutions. On the contrary, all they offer is an infinite number of questions. Many people spend their whole lives walking through a fog of ignorance, eager for knowledge but unable to find a proper approach. They are hindered by such things as precedence and knowledge. Visiting Nous is enough to open the eyes of even the most ignorant people to see the problem. But the answer may only be found by oneself. This is most probably the reason Herta is getting involved in Amphoreus, because if she really cares about the answer to this question, what is divinity, and Amphoreus holds the key, and one can only find the answer via oneself, then this could probably explain why she's on the move again, and where she's on the move to. Amphoreus. As for the ripple she mentioned earlier, if I had to wager a guess, it could probably be caused by the fact that she directed a question at an Aeon. We rarely hear of humans interacting with Aeons, and recently just learned of the taboo of questioning someone like Xipe's will, so this could fit into that narrative. And now with regards to Herta's question, what is divinity? It's strange. Divinity and Amphoreus clearly have a lot of things going on here, with Amphoreus having its own Battle of the Gods and the Titans, but there is one confirmed connection, sort of. Quote, you receive an invitation with Smarty Club number 888, Miss Philosophy Professor scribed on it. This woman proclaims herself to be the divine Mecha in charge of screenwriting during the Eternal Land, Amphoreus' Aeonic Age. Now, we know for a fact Herta is involved with Amphoreus in some degree, thanks to the end of the trailer.
Most heroes' journeys in the universe are just dice tosses they threw on a whim. Will your answer be any different, Amphoreus?
But given Herta knew nothing about Amphoreus, investigated it, then posed this question to Nous, one has to wonder if Nous himself is the one who's influencing part of the paths on Amphoreus, and if Herta were to have found this out, then maybe there's only one question to ask Nous. What is divinity, really? What do I mean? In this universe, different worlds abide by different systems. Most recognize the Aeons as the highest form of divinity, yet some distant, isolated worlds know nothing of the Aeons, emanators, or even other worlds. These worlds develop their own belief systems and origin stories that don't seem inaccurate, but what's strange is they have their own deities that wield divine power. Take, for instance, Aventuri's home world of Sigonia 4. Here, the people didn't worship Aeons, but rather Gaiathra Triclops. Aventurine was one blessed by Heron in turn. I mean, damn near received the luck of the fucking Irish. Nigga, this thing, bro, it ain't luck if it keeps happening, dog. He says he's gambling. You're not gambling, bro. The shit's rigged in his favor thanks to old Gaiathra Triclops, bro. The big beefy bitch. Is Aventurine lucky because he was blessed by the gods, or was he blessed by the gods because he was lucky? See, that's a question. That's a question, folks. Regardless, the point is here, who are the gods? How can this distant world have its own deity? How do they tie into what most of the universe recognizes as divinity? How do any of these lost, distant worlds on the tree get their own origin story and their own primordial gods? If we look at what Herta says at the end of the trailer, she remarks most heroes' journeys are dice tosses thrown by them referring to the Aeons, and she wonders if Amphoreus will be any different, presumably due to the fact that Amphoreus appears to be removed from the Aeons, even if we know this isn't entirely true given there are either Aeons or emanators messing with things over there, but do they even know they're emanators? Or what's more, do they even know their eons? Is divinity a universally recognized concept, or is it something shaped by the specific paths and powers that influence a world? In a universe where different worlds abide by different systems, most recognize the eons as the highest form of divinity, yet some distant, isolated worlds know nothing of the eons, emanators, or even other worlds. These worlds develop their own belief systems and origin stories that don't seem inaccurate, but what's strange is that they have their own deities who wield divine power. So, if divinity is shaped by local beliefs, does that mean the power wielded by beings like Iathra Triceratops in Aventure's homeworld of Sigonia 4 is just as valid as the power of the eons? And does Amphoreus, with its unusual influence from paths like the erudition, even recognize divinity in the same way, or are they completely removed from it altogether? Or are they unaware that they are a part of a system they don't even know exists? This all ties into Herta's question asked to Nous, centered around Amphoreus: what is divinity?